In the latest episode of Dino Fury, I've learned something very crucial. Ollie's mum is a MILF.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey there guys, so I'm back with episode 2 of Dino Fury Sporix Unleashed. Now if you haven't seen my review of episode 1, please check that out. So episode 1, I thought it was solid. I thought it had some really great stunt work, the music was a high point, some really interesting world building. But I wasn't on the same boat as everyone saying, oh my god, it was amazing, one of the best premieres. It wouldn't crack my top 10. But episode 2, I gotta say, it was much better. I really enjoyed episode 2 for so many reasons, and I'll get to that in a bit. But the episode starts off with the Rangers learning to morph, their sequence, what moves that they need to do. And I love about that. I mean, compared to other seasons when the Rangers somehow learn how to morph straight away, this one is like, we gotta take our time. How does this work? Da da da. That was great because I feel like sometimes there's some really complicated morph sequences, like in Lightspeed Rescue, or like even Mighty Morphin was a bit complicated, the proper one, the whole like that kind of stuff. This one was quite complicated, but somehow, the Rangers got it spot on. And I love about it, I mean, it's a very complex, it's a very complex morph sequence. And how does that work if they're running to emergency? Would they just have to stop and do it properly? But yeah, it was a great, and what I've learned about this episode, and compared to last episode, it must have gone right over my head, is actually the keys give them the powers. Originally I thought the Zords do, but no, I was completely off my key. I don't know what happened, that went over my head. But yeah, the keys give them powers, and Emily does say, where's the other 3 powers? The keys were lost along with the warriors, so I'm guessing the keys are somewhere hidden underground, whatever. Or maybe the Gold Ranger's put into stasis. I still bet there's going to be a Gold Ranger from like the original Warriors. And this is the first time since like Power Rangers Turbo that the Rangers have the ability to teleport in certain places, which is great because it actually gets to like point A to point B really quickly, rather than point A, sometime later we get to point B, which is great. And the teleportation effects are really nice. It's kind of like very familiar to like what they did with the Thor movies. And Sento is great in this episode. I mean, yes, his antennas disappear, he has that ability to do that. What are the antennas for actually, or is it just because his species? But you do get that kind of fish out of water comedy, like he gets to town, he's like, where are all the dinosaurs? And it's like, they don't explain that to him, like, oh yeah, they're in the movies, but we'll explain that later. And when they go up to Ranger Jordan Garcia, and he's like, yeah, I believe you, and he draws a picture of like a flying saucer, and he's like, no. I hopefully would get more of that fish out of water comedy like they did with Andros and Power Rangers in Space. The whole plot point of this episode is that in the base they discover that Void Knight left his device behind that's able to help him track Sporix. And Ollie's like, what about we combine this with my mum's technology that helps us track these Sporix much quicker? And like, they're kind of like, no, we shouldn't, because we shouldn't be mixing alien technology with human technology. Even though we've seen that done loads of time in Power Rangers, we must have done. But Ollie does it anyway. He goes behind his friend's back, and like it completely backfires because they'd be able to track his mum down, but the day was saved, blah blah blah. It was just such a quick fix, and the whole message of the episode is like, don't go behind your friend's back. And it's kind of like, oh, we forgive you, whatever. Even though, so the Rangers have to use another way to track down these Sporix now. And also in the middle of the episode, I don't know how I feel about it at the moment, but it's like at Amelia's work, Buzz Blast, when like her boss announces a new assistant that hopefully would take over her one day. This whole cyborg, J-Borg robot, oh god, it's going to be the comedic comic relief character. And I thought in this series they weren't going to have any like comic relief characters, so it's like meant to do things faster. So she's like signing paperwork, but she throws up in the air, and it's like, oh, just pick it up. And it's like, okay, so she's not going to do everything properly, and hopefully that will backfire. So we do see in this episode that Void Knight does try to break back into the base, but is covered with a force field, which is great. I mean, little things like that really please me, because it's going to be like later on, I'm going to be like, oh, why doesn't Void Knight break back into it? But it's protected, which makes it a lot more sense. My other idea is like maybe they just move base, but they can't really do it because it's underground. But the one thing I really liked about this episode is that the Rangers discover there's a monster in town. A Sporix has been unhatched thanks to social media, which is great because they're using social media to its full potential. Like in every other Power Rangers series, there's always some sort of monster alert device, like obviously like they did in Mighty Morphin. But hopefully they're using the social media to its full potential. Like all you need to do is a tweet, because loads of people do like videos and tweets and stuff. There's a monster attack. The Rangers go in there to take down the monster, which is great. One thing I find so dumb about this episode, like the Rangers are kind of like, well, let's go and find someone and tell everyone about the Sporix. And it's like, why would they believe these young adults that, oh, there's monsters in town? Even though Power Rangers exist in their world, they're not going to believe them. I mean, how will the authorities to go for? You got to go to like this ranger who does a really crummy job of what he does. You should have like talked to police, but which pays off later on because there's like truth in this. They do see monster attacks in town. There's a giant monster, so the Rangers are kind of like doing this advert, like, if you see any Sporix, please contact the Ranger hotline, which is great. I mean, they're using social media to its full potential. But it's like, why don't they just turn into their Rangers, go to the authorities? Obviously, the authorities will believe them because there actually are Rangers in the suits. Let's do that. That would have been like quickly done rather than, oh, let's just go in our civilian forms and just say, oh, can we do it? No. Also, one of my favourite things to come out of this episode, and I was really like, wasn't expecting too much out of it because I saw the pictures like a few days before of the morph sequence and I thought the background looks kind of crummy, and I was like, but I gotta say, this is one of the best morph sequences done in Power Rangers. The music, the way they move, I mean it was great. And halfway through, like Santo says, smooth, which is great. And I love like the whole special effects morph sequence when they're like floating in the morphing grid, bathing in it, they turn into the Rangers and the helmets go like that was great. The one character I was really worried about, because I saw a clip of her or he, I think it's a her, whatever, but of Mucus, this like henchman general, whatever, and you see her like with Ollie's mom, spins her around. I thought, oh my god, this general's gonna be crap. But like, okay, she's not the best character, but she's willing to fight, which I like. I hate one of those villains that just in the background don't do anything at all. And yeah, she does get her hands dirty. She has this ability that she can regenerate. She's really weird. I mean, design and personality wise, she's crossed between Garbage Mouth from MMPR Season 3 and Curio from Dino Charge. But I was expecting something way worse. But yeah, she was fine. So the power-up modes to this episode, they don't really have a proper name to them, but they're kind of like this like attachment to their right arm. I like it, but I like the fact they have the ability to oppose a monster. No, they're not like, oh, they only use for like certain monsters, but no, they're willing to take down a big monster or slow them down in some capacity. And the T-Rex Champion Sword, we don't get a lot of sword action. It's very brief, but I do love the T-Rex Champion Sword. I love it how you get a dinosaur and you get this little mini soldier to it. It's very similar to what they did with Lost Galaxy with the Torzord, and I hopefully we get that more to it. I don't really know much about Rusoja, so this is all kind of new territory for me. But yeah, I mean, I like the fact that the Red Ranger has its own sword that actually has the ability to take down monsters, other than this small kind of thing that kind of only works with other swords. But yeah, I mean, the cockpit is nice. I mean, it's not far off from like what they did with Samurai and Dino Charge, but it's okay. I mean, it's okay. It's much better than I believe its Rusoja counterpart, which was just very bland. But yeah, they tried to do something with it. I like the whole saber, which I believe that's original Power Rangers, that saber that like they did with the Cheetah Blaster in Beast Morphers. I like that. We also learn whenever the Rangers take down a monster, not only do they turn back to their Sporix form, but also they're twice as powerful. So Voidnoid takes it before the Rangers does. It's unclear what he's doing with them, and at the very end, Mucus and Voidnoid go to this facility that's kind of like the parody version of like Area 51, which is like Area 62, And yeah, it's going to be like the main base to the villains, which is kind of cool because it's not really alien related. It's very human. Basically, it's abandoned human facilities. I guess it's focused on aliens. And you do see this like one wall that has all the TVs, but it's not actually TVs. It's all just really cheap painted. But yeah, I like that. I like the fact that humans, like the villains, don't have their own kind of own base. They have to use like a warehouse or something. That was kind of interesting. But the fact is, we kind of learn, oh yeah, he needs these sporks for his own thing. He's not using the monsters. He wants to use them so he can power up his own machine. So I'm guessing he has his own Megazord, and I think that's going to be kind of the plot for this series of Dino Fury. I don't think it's going to be the whole series for the season 1 and season 2. I think it's only going to be for this, and we're going to get this like epic showdown at the very end. So episode 2, Sporks Unleashed. I gotta say, I really liked it much more than episode 1, and I thought episode 1 was solid. With this, I was grinning. There is a couple issues, like the J-Borg doesn't have a great first impression, and Ollie go behind the Rangers back is kind of like a quick fix. It's like, oh, don't do it again, we forgive you, no problem guys, I'm sorry. But yeah, the best thing to come out of this episode, of course, the morph sequences. Honestly, this is one of the best morph sequence in Power Rangers now. It's just beautiful with the music, the way they move, the special effects, the way they're floating in the morphing grid. The T-Rex champion sword is a win, instant win. I like the fact their power-ups are taken more seriously. The villains you get more into the villains. Mucus was better than I thought it would be. There's a lot of things I like that really impressed me, but also it feels grounded. The fact that the Rangers are learning how to morph, which is a very complicated morph sequence, and the fact they go to use social media to its full potential, and I hope we use that more in Power Rangers. But there's this one scene earlier in the episode when they talk about the T-Rex champion sword, and Amelia's like, wow, that's such a cool name, who creates these? And they like quickly change the subject. That's kind of like a really cool nod to the fans. But yeah, if I had to give this episode out of 5, I'd give it a 4. Apart from that, if it didn't have those couple of issues and that quick fix, it could have been a 5. But for an episode 2, I really enjoyed it, and I hope they keep it up. So far, this is going to be, I'm hoping this will be a good series to Power Rangers. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Go like, share and subscribe. Let me know, what did you think of episode 2, Sporks Unleashed? Go check out my Facebook, my Twitter and my Instagram page. You guys are awesome. I got your back.